Last week, we discussed financial assets, money, financial transactions, and financial institutions. That was what we discussed last week. We talked about how financial assets are created, what is money, the economic definition of money, that is M1, M2, M3, functions of money. We also looked at inflation and deflation and the value that or the impact that it has on the economy. Then we also talked about the evolution of financial transactions, whereby we have the direct financing, semi-direct, and we have the indirect financing. Then we also talked about classifications of financial institutions in terms of depository institution, contractual institutions, and investment institutions. Then from there, we looked at the factors that must be considered when you are forming a portfolio. The interest rate and risk is a factor, the cost volatility, the size of the individual financial institutions, regulations and competition is also another factor. Then disintermediation of funds, too, we discussed it. And I think the last thing that we talked about was bank-dominated versus security-dominated economy. And we got to know that in most cases, in the less developed environment, the banks are dominant in the financial market. But when we take the developed environment, you have the security market being dominant on the financial market, in the sense that individuals or corporate organizations can go to the open market to raise funds. Today, with the help of God, we are going to look at determinant of interest rate. Determinant of interest rate. Determinant of interest rate. At the end of the day, our objective that we have to cover is to understand the important roles that interest rate plays in the economy. Interest rate plays different roles in the economy. So we need to understand what they are, the roles that they play, explore the most important ideas about what determines the level of interest and asset prices within the financial market. If interest rate increases, what happens to the value of financial securities on the market? Do they appreciate? Do they depreciate? You look at all those things. Then also the key forces that economists believe set market interest rates and asset prices into motion. So these are our objectives for today. Now, this is just a teaser on the slides. This lending rate in Japan and in UK. Lending means that sorry, somebody just when you are depositing money at the bank, you are lending. But when you are going to borrow, that one is borrowing rate. So when you are lending, this is the interest rate on the market. Now, if we take it from the bank perspective, it will be a different thing. Excuse me, somebody just called me, said it is urgent. So please, from the bank's perspective, right? Then lending is the rate at which the banks give out loans, right? Now, when you look at Zimbabwe, look at the rates from 2000. Look at the rate, the bank's lending rate is very, very, can you hear me?
Yes, please.
Okay. Yes. Look at the rate, the bank, the rate is very, very high. Now, between 2007, 2008, 2009, that is when the world economy suffered what we call the credit crunch. So at that time, you see that interest rate was very, very high on the market. Now look at lending rate in a better developed environment. right? That is Japan and UK. Now, the UK suffered the credit crunch much more than what Japan experienced. But at least you could see that from here, Japan's lending rate appreciated between '06 to '08. You could see a rise there. But for UK, the increase was very, very sharp as compared to Japan. That tells you that even though the world economy suffered credit issues, the impact or the degree of its effect would not be the same across board. It will vary from country to country, right? And this is the Zimbabwe one. Now, let's look at different regions. So we have East Asia and the Pacific, Europe and Central Asia. We have this Sub-Saharan Africa. Now look at where Sub-Saharan Africa is. Is just on top of it, right? Then Asia has the lowest among, no, Japan. Japan has the lowest rate among them, followed by Asia. Then which country is this? Latin America follows, then Europe also. Then as for Africa, we know there is no way we can compete with them. So that is just a teaser on what we are going to discuss today. Now, as a matter of introduction, anybody that decides to save or lend, borrow or invest, there is something that influences your decision whether to borrow, whether to save, whether to lend, or whether to invest. And one of the main factors, if not the important one, is the interest rate on the market. Interest rate is very, very key important factor when somebody decides that I want to put some money down, or a bank says that I want to lend money out, or an individual or a business says that I want to go and borrow, or another person says I want to do investment. It is all about the returns that a person is going to get. So interest rate plays a very significant role in terms of the financial market progression. Now, interest rate is just the price that a borrower must pay to secure a loan. Last week, we learned that Bank of Ghana, that is a monetary policy committee, they have increased the policy rate from 14.5% to 17%. This 14.5% to 17% must send a signal to us on the market. So if I'm the one going to save, if I'm the one going to do investment, I'll be happy because I'm going to put money down into a financial asset, and the interest rate on the market that I'm going to get will be far higher than what it existed earlier on. Now, the person who is also giving his money out for borrowing, that is the bank, is also going to get more money because previously, if the policy rate was 14.5, now it is now 17%. So they are going to get more money when they lend money out. But as a borrower, I will not be happy because previously the benchmark was 14.5, but today the benchmark is 17%. That means that the cost of borrowing or the cost of credit has gone up. The cost of credit has gone up. So that is how the signals, or that is how interest rates works on the market. It depends on where you stand. That is when you appreciate whether it is a good rate on the market or it is not a good rate on the market. So for interest rate, it is a price that a borrower must pay to secure loanable funds. And when we talk of loanable funds is just credit from a lender for an agreed period of time. And who is the lender? The lender is me and you that we have put our money at the bank. And the bank repackages it and give it out in the form of loan. So now, if you put our money at the bank, from now going, at least the interest rate that we were enjoying previously, we need to get a better rate on it because the policy rate is no more 14.5%. It has appreciated to 17%. Now, what are some of the functions of the interest rate on the market? This I've talked about it. Some authorities refers to interest rate as a price of credit. Anyway, when you go and borrow, it is not for free. Even men, they don't give things for free. So the same way when you go to the bank to go and borrow, it is not for free. And as I said, interest rate sends different signals on the market depending on where you stand. So whether higher interest rate increases or decreases savings and investment depends on the relative strength of its effect on our supply and demand factors. Now, if interest rate is seen as the price of credit or the cost that the borrower must pay when they are going to borrow, what are some of the functions of interest rates in the economy? Interest rate helps to guarantee that current savings will flow into investment to promote economic growth. And that is the more reason why me and you will decide to put our money down. If we put our money down and we are not going to get any returns on it, which will help us to get a better purchasing power in the future, then there is no need for us to put our money into any financial asset because our present value will be the same as our future value. But under normal circumstances, our future value should be more than our present value. And what will cause our future value to be more than our present value is the rate of return that we are going to earn on the principal that we put down today. So the interest rate guarantees that as I am putting down an amount of money today, it will flow into an investment to promote economic growth. Now, every day I put 500 cedis into my account. Every month I put 500 cedis into my account. And I earn a particular interest on it. After some time, I'll take this money and use it to go and do a different investment. I can decide to go and buy a land. I can decide to go and buy a house or a car. At the end of the day, my standard of living is improving. Economic growth is also advancing. Then it also allocates available supply of credit, normally providing loanable funds to those investment projects with the highest expected return. Now, when we talk about investment projects, there is no way a project manager or a financial manager will put his or her money or the company's money into a project that has negative NPV. Anytime a financial manager decides to invest into a particular project, it tells you that the project is going to give them a positive NPV, or at least they are going to break even. If they are going to have a negative NPV, then it tells you that the project is not viable. So as a financial manager, if you believe that the internally generated funds in your organization is not enough, but you have identified project that you think that when you invest in it, you get good returns in it, then the financial manager will now go to the bank to go and secure loanable funds, then come and invest into this project that he believes that it will bring them higher expected returns. Another function of the interest rate is that it also brings the supply of money into balance with public's demand for money. So anytime the demand and the supply curve crosses, we get what we call an equilibrium rate. And interest rate also serves as an important tool for government policy through its function on the volume of savings and also investment. So now that government has increased the policy rate from 14.5 to 17%, the government is telling us something. It is a government policy tool through which they are going to influence the volume of savings and the volume of investment on the market. Are you with me? Hey.
Yes. Yes, please.
Respond. Okay, now to help uncover these determining interest rate forces, we have to assume that there is one fundamental interest rate on the market, and that is the rate that we always talk about. That is the risk-free rate or the pure interest rate. For any investment that you decide to do, if the interest rate that you are going to get on the investment is below the risk-free rate, then you are in for trouble. The risk-free rate or the pure rate becomes the basic or becomes the fundamental interest rate on the market, and it is the closest real world approximation. That is why we call it the pure rate of return. And it is almost to zero risks involved. So in another environment, or even in our environment here, we refer to the pure rate as what? Risk-free rate of return. And that is the return that the government offers on the market. And the government will never default on its obligations in terms of bonds on the market, in terms of treasury bill on the market. After Akufo-Addo's term, let's assume that NDC comes to power. Any debt obligations that was in the name of this government was in the name of this government. When different government comes into power, they have to continue with that. So when people are investing into government projects, when people are investing into government financial securities, they know that there is no way that the government will default. So that is why we call it the pure risk or the risk-free rate on the market. Now that we know what interest rate is, which is the price of credit or the price of loanable funds, and we know the functions that interest rate performs in an economy, which gives helps uncover rate determinant forces. Then also interest rate serves as an important tool for government policy through its influence on the volume of savings and investment. It also brings supply of money into balance with policy's demand. Then it also allocates the available supply of credits by providing loanable funds to those investment projects that offers highest expected returns. Now, what are some of the theories? What are some of the theories or the school of thought behind interest rates? What are some of the schools of thought behind interest rates or the theories behind interest rates? I think we will discuss about 4 main theories under this topic. So when I ask you to talk about the theories that informs interest rates, these are the theories that we are going to talk about. First of all, we will talk about the classical theory. The classical theory. So we have the classical theory. We have the liquidity preference theory. We have the expectations theory. Then we have the loanable funds theory. So we will discuss 4 main theories here. The classical theory, liquidity preference theory, expectations theory. Then we talk about the more generally accepted one, which is the loanable funds theory. Then we also discuss their limitations to it. So when you talk of the classical theory, what is the argument in the classical theory? The proponent of the classical theories argues that interest rate or rate of interest is determined by only 2 forces. So for the classical theories, their argument is that for an interest rate to be established, it is only 2 forces that must come into play. And the 2 forces are the supply of savings, which is basically derived from household, and the demand for investment, which is mainly from business sector. Here, they don't even talk about the government. So for the classical theories, their concentration is on household like me and you, the consuming unit, and also the producing unit. So when I take my salary, when I take my salary, I spend, then I try as much as possible to put some down. That constitutes the supply of savings. Then a business firm also needs money. So the business firm goes to the bank to go and borrow for capital investment purposes so that the business can also expand. So for the classical theories, their belief is that the interest rate determination on the market, it is from 2 main forces. The savings, the supply of savings from the consuming unit or from household, then also the demand for investment capital, which is coming from the business sector. Now, household, this one we've talked about it already. Household savings. Current household savings equal the difference between your current income and your consumption. That As I said, if you are able to save out of your income, then your savings will be increasing. Then individuals also prefer current over future consumption. As for that one, it is the truth. When you have money you wish to spend, but sometimes if you have some investment objective, if you have something you want to achieve in the future, you wouldn't like to spend all the money, but you would like to put some of the money down. But under normal circumstances, if I'm putting down the money and I'm not going to get any interest on it, people wouldn't like to wait. So for people to wait, individuals would like to earn at least an interest rate on their current money so that it will motivate them to put their money for future consumption. So you see here, individuals prefer current over future consumption, and the payment of interest is a reward for waiting. So if I'm going to wait and I'm not going to get any interest rate on on the money that I put down, then there is no need. Then they'll rather take the money to the market to go and spend than rather put the money down and get no reward on it. Then higher interest rate also encourages the substitution of current savings for consumption. When interest rate is high on the market, people wouldn't like to spend money by heart. They would like to invest the money, which will translate into higher economic growth or higher standard of living. That is a substitution effect that we are talking about. Now, first, look at this. This is our interest rate and this is our current savings, right? So if the rate of return is 1, our savings is here. Now, if interest rate increases on the market, now you see interest rate has now increased from 1 to 2. Rationally, any rational person who saves will also try to increase his or her savings because interest rate has become attractive on the market. So I want to put down more of my money so that I will enjoy the interest rate that has been increased on the market. Please, are you all clear? Hey, you people don't mind me. Let me go on. Okay, so for business and government, businesses save, but they save from their retained earnings. And government also save, and government saves from their budget surplus. So as individuals, we save from our current income. Business saves from their retained earnings. When they declare profits and they pay dividend out, the rest they retain it into the firm. Then they try to put it into an account, a yielding account that gives them a better interest. Then government too, when their expenditure is lower than their revenue, they get a budget surplus. But in an instance whereby their expenditure is more than the expected revenue, then there is no way government is going to get money to save. Now, when it comes to demand for funds, don't forget that, let me go back, that the classical theories have two beliefs, that the interest rate is being determined by supply of savings and demand for investment. So we are done with the supply of savings. You are now going to demand for investment. And for them, they believe that the people or the group of people that normally demand money for investment is the businesses or the corporate organizations. So gross business investment equals the sum of replacement investment and net investment. And one investment decision-making method involves calculation of a project's expected internal rate of return. So for any project manager or financial manager who wants to undertake an investment project, will assess the return that they are going to get on the project against what they are going to pay in going to source for loan. So if the cost of credit is more than what they are going to get from their internal rate of return or the benefit that the project is going to give them, there is no way any financial manager will go into such a project. So it tells you that anytime you are going to demand for money or for loanable funds or for credit to undertake an investment project, you need to assess the investment project very well to find out that this project that I'm going to borrow money to put into, am I going to get more returns than what I'm going to pay back, or what I'm going to pay back as a cost of credit to be more than the returns that I'm going to get? If it is that way, then you better not go into the project in the first place because the project will be a bad project. So what the fund manager or the project manager or the financial manager will do is that we need to assess the viability of the project. And in assessing the viability of the project, we need to forecast the cash flows into the future. When we are able to forecast the cash flows into the future, we discount all the cash flows and equate it to the cost of the project. If you get a positive NPV, then it means that the project is a good project. Now look at this one. See, this is the cost of capital and business investment decision. So this is the dollar cost of investment, and this is the expected internal rate of return. So this here is the benefit that if the financial manager invests, they are going to get. Now, Project A will give them a return of 15%. Project B will give them a return of 12%, Project C 10%, Project D 8%, and Project E 11%. Now, this company we are talking about decide that they want to go and borrow from the market or from the financial market. Now, when they borrow, they are going to pay a cost of capital of 10%. Now, the issue is, if the cost of capital is 10% and the firm has these five projects available, which of them should they invest and why? Now, I've thrown the question to you. If you are the financial manager of this company and you have these five projects available to you, you have done the assessment and you see that this is the returns that the project will bring to you. Also, you are going to borrow to fund this project and the cost of borrowing is 10%. Now, which of these projects will you invest in and why? Yes. Okay, so you're going for project A and B because they offer a higher benefit. Who has a different view? Hello?
Madam, please, we support him.
You support him. So nobody go for project. What about project D?
No, please. The return is lesser than the cost of capital.
What about project C?
No, please.
No, please.
You're not also going for project C. Okay.
No.
But you see, project C2 is also not a bad project. You know that.
Yes, please.
With project C, you become indifferent because you are breaking even. Are you okay? But as for D and E, it is a no-no. But if you are to choose, then project A and project B are far better than the other projects. So I'm happy you understand what we are doing. Thank you. So you see here it's acceptable. Here you are indifferent. And these projects are unprofitable projects because the cost of the funds is even more than the benefits that the project is having. Now, for the investment demand schedule in the classical theory, this is the interest rate, right? And then good. You see, this is the interest rate, and this is our investment spending. So let's say that we have a company, and the name of the company is Money and Capital Morning Class, right? That's the name of the company. Today, the interest rate on the market is 14.5%, which is here. Now, the Bank of Ghana comes out to tell us that they have increased the policy rate from 14.5 to 17.5. What will happen to our investment spending pattern? Yes, I've thrown it to you. Please. It will what?
Decrease.
Why do you think it has to decrease?
This is because the cost of investment is higher than earlier. So it will discourage us from borrowing more.
It will discourage us from borrowing because the cost of what has gone up. So now interest rate is now expensive on the market. So interest rate being increased on the market is a disincentive to businesses. Do you know that?
Yes, please.
That is what this graph is telling us. So when interest rate increases on the market, it prevents people from going to borrow more. So they will rather borrow less. And if they borrow less, that tells you that they can also not spend a lot. So that is the meaning of this graph. Normally, when interest rate increases on the market, the good borrowers, they shun away from borrowing. But the bad borrowers will go and borrow. And one thing that happens on the market is that because the bank's interest rate has gone up and the good borrowers are shunning away from borrowing, the banks want to give out the loans at all costs. So when the bad ones go, they give it to them because the more the banks create loans, the more their money keeps increasing. Don't forget that loans are assets to the banks, right? So the more they create loan portfolios, the more they are creating assets on the market. So when interest rates increase, it becomes difficult for corporate organizations, for individuals to go and borrow on the market. However, you see the bad borrowers going to that is the unfaithful ones, because they know that they will not be able to pay, but they are still going for the money. And when they go, the banks will also give it to them because people are not coming to borrow, but the banks must also create assets for the company. Now, for an equilibrium to establish, the demand and supply forces must meet. So when investment and savings meet, we have what? Our equilibrium interest rate, then we have our equilibrium investment savings, right? Now, is it the case that interest rates is being determined by only two factors, which is the savings and also investment? Is that the case? There could be factors other than savings and investments that affect interest rates, and the classical theories have ignored it. Example can be many financial institutions can create money today by making loans to the public. And economists also recognize that income is also more important than interest rate. Assuming that, you guys, let's look at it from your perspective. Assuming that as they have increased interest rates on the market, now interest rate is attractive. If you want to invest, if you want to save, can you save? Hello, I'm talking to you guys. Respond. If you want to save, will you be able to save?
Yes. Yes, please.
Are you sure?
Well,
How are you going to get the
your
money to save? Who said yes, please? How are you going to get the money to save?
I was saying, depending on your income, if you are getting more income.
Yes. So you see, it is not always about the interest rate. Even if the interest rate is 100% and you don't have money, if you don't have income, there is no way you can take advantage of that. I remember when I was in level 400, I think 400. Then EcoBank Ghana floated their shares. At that time, I did this Ghana Stock Exchange courses, so I was so interested in the stock market because I've taken some stock courses. So at least I knew what they were about. Now the floated shares on the market, that we knew that this security would be a good one. But where is the money? We don't have money to go and buy. So no matter how good the product on the market is, no matter how good the interest rate on the market is, if you don't have income to go and patronize it, there is no way that the interest rate on the market will be beneficial to you, because one of the most important factors, which is your income, and you get savings out of it, the income is not there. If the income is not there, and if the interest rate is attractive on the market, there is no way that we are going to benefit in it. Then in addition to that, to business sectors, both consumers and government also play important role in terms of borrowing. But with the classical theories, they only considered government as the main borrowers and individuals or household as the main savers, while you can have other factors or other stakeholders coming into it. So both consumers and government are also important borrowers today. So these are some of the limitations to the classical theory. So based on the limitations to the classical theory, then we have what we call the liquidity preference theory. And when we talk of liquidity, liquidity is the ability to transfer an asset into cash within the shortest possible time without losing much money on it. So the liquidity preference theory rate is a short-term theory that was developed for explaining near cash changes in interest rate. That if somebody decides that I want to hold on to cash and another person decides that I want to invest, the person who is investing for a longer period should earn better interest rate than the person who has decided that I want to hold on to cash or I want to what? Invest for a shorter period. So according to the theory, interest rate is a payment to money holders for the use of their scarce resources by those who demand what? Liquidity. It's the same as saying that interest rate is the cost of credit. Now, as individuals, we demand what? Money for so many reasons. And there's so many reasons are just grouped into three main perspectives. It's either we are demanding money for our day-to-day activity, that is for the transactional purposes, or for accidental issues or emergency issues, precautionary, because you say, I can forward baby omubu. Would it be a children? Would usum body and wasum could do an anya can. That's how we say it.
Yes,
okay. So when you spend, when you spend, at least put some down. Anything can happen. Now, Bibi Sina say you don't have anybody to fall on. What do you do? So after going or using your money for transactional motives, that is for your day-to-day activity, at least try and put an amount of money down because emergency situations can arise. Then you can also have a speculative motive, which is basically for purposes. When interest rate rises on the market, when interest rate becomes attractive on the market, you can decide that, hey, I have some money here, let me buy this investment product because you believe that you are going to get a good return on it. But if you use all your money to buy pizza and coke, KFC is close to you people. So pizza and coke, KFC. At the end of the day, you will not have anything. When you chance on any investment opportunity, there is no money to take advantage of that. So as individuals, as corporate organizations, as a government, we demand liquidity or we demand money for three main purposes: transactional motive, precautionary motive, and also for investment purposes, which is a speculative motive. Now, for transactional motive and precautionary motive depends on the level of your national income. That is how much you receive. If you receive more, you spend more. If you receive more, you save more. That is why I asked you that if interest rates has increased on the market, will you be able to save more? If you are not getting any source of income, how can you save more? So as a country too, if the country is able to what? Save. If the country is able to save, then it is also dependent on our national income. It's dependent on the sales that as a firm, the firm is able to do at the end of the day. So for a speculative demand for cash, this is the interest rate on the market, and this is what our demand for speculative purposes. And the demand curve always slopes downwards. Then the supply curve goes up like that, right? Now, this is the total demand for money or cash balances and the equilibrium interest rate. Now, see here, transactional motive and precautionary motive is here. Then you have our speculative demand also here. The supply of money here, then the equilibrium total demand comes here. So you have our equilibrium interest rate here. And so the equilibrium interest rate, we trace it to the interest rate. Then also the quantity of money or cash balances is also seen here. Now, for the liquidity preference theory, in modern economies, the money supply is controlled or at least closely regulated by government. Do you believe or you don't believe, and why? Is money supply controlled by government? If yes, why? If no, why? You can use Ghana as an example. Hello? Please talk.
Not completely.
Not okay. Who is talking?
I'm Victoria.
Okay. You are the class rep.
No, please.
But the class rep is also called Victoria.
Please, for another course, I'm doing accounting and finance. Another program, rather.
Oh, okay. The real estate people, are you here?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you. So, Vic, talk.
Okay, so for government, when they set policy rates, that's the rate that they give out loans to the commercial banks.
Yeah.
It influences the amount of deposits commercial banks have to give out as loans. So it in a way influences the supply of loans. But because
Okay, thank
commercial
you.
banks, okay.
Oh, please talk. Victoria, talk. I'm listening.
So I was saying that there are other factors. You earlier mentioned that the commercial banks can also decide on the total amount to give out as loans. They create loans depending on other factors. So they also in a way influence the supply of loans themselves.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Is there any other? So, Victoria has even said one of the limitations of the liquidity preference theory, that it is not only government that influences the supply of money in the economy. Other factors also influences the supply of money in the economy. Yes, it is true that in one way or the other, the government can regulate the supply of money in the economy, like the way they have increased policy rates. Now, how are they going to influence supply of money by increasing the policy rate or reducing the policy rate? Right now that they've increased the policy rate, that is the rate at which they give loans to banks. Now, if commercial banks decide to go to the to Bank of Ghana as a lender of last resort, that is when the policy rate will be effective or affect them. But if they decide that we will not go to Bank of Ghana to go and borrow to balance our liquidity position for a particular period, then it tells you that that policy rate that they've increased from 14.5 to 17 is not going to be applicable on the commercial bank. In the same way, as they have increased the policy rate from 14.5 to 17, it will translate into the treasury bill rate. The treasury bill rate will also increase on the market. Now, people who patronize treasury bill a lot, once they see that the treasury bill rate has also gone up, instead of going to use their money to do a different thing in the economy, they'll rather use it to purchase what treasury bill product or instrument. Now, as they purchase more of the treasury bill instrument, then money is leaving the economic sector into the financial sector. So in that sense, at least the government has been able to control the supply of money in the equilibrium. In the economy. Are you okay? Then the supply of money, right, is often assumed to be inelastic with respect to interest rate when it comes to government decisions. So since government decision concerning the size of money supply should be guided by public welfare, sometimes when the government needs money, they will not sit down and say that, oh, the credit on the market is too much. So we want to let interest rates come down before we borrow. You know, as individuals, right, if interest rate is high on the market, we wouldn't like to borrow. But for government, because government is there for what? Social welfare or for the public welfare. If the government must borrow at even a high price, even if the supply of money on the market is constant and interest rate on the market increases, right? No matter what, if the government needs money, the government must borrow at a high interest rate to be able to satisfy public welfare. But we normally say that the government's appetite to interest rates or to money supply is inelastic to interest rates. the government's demand for money on the market is inelastic to interest rate as compared to businesses and individuals. For me and you, if the interest rate increases on the market, it will deter us or prevent us or discourage us from going to borrow. But for government, the government doesn't care. All that the government needs is that I have a project to undertake. There is a school feeding program that we want to do. There is a free SHS that we want to do. So at all costs, we need money to finance this project. So no matter the interest rate on the market, government will go and borrow to come and satisfy this public welfare. Please, are you with me? Now, with the limitations, liquidity preference theory is a short-term approach. In the longer term, as my sister said, there are other factors that account to interest rate determination. So the assumption that income remains stable does not hold. And that is one of the things that the liquidity preference talk about. That within the short period, your income level will be constant. But you ask yourself, is it true that your income level will always be constant? As time goes on, your income level will change. And only the supply and demand for money is also considered. A more comprehensive view that considers the supply and demand for credit by all factors in the financial system should also be taken into consideration. So that brings us to the more acceptable theory of interest rate on the market, which is the loanable funds theory. Now, the loanable funds theory take account of everybody, even foreigners. I don't know if this note talks about the foreigners, but the previous note that we've been using, we've even been accounting for foreigners. So foreigners even play a key role in terms of the loanable funds theory. Now, with the loanable funds theory, it argues that the risk-free rate is determined by two forces. And the two forces, they talk about demand and supply of funds. So we have the demand for credit, and which people demand for credit. So demand for credit by domestic businesses, you see there are foreigners here. So demand for domestic businesses, by domestic businesses, we have consumers, we have governments, as well as what? Foreign borrowers. So it is not just that it is the government or businesses that borrows. Me and you too, we also borrow on the financial market. The same applies to foreigners. Foreigners also borrow from the financial market. Ghana floated bonds on the international market. So Ghana becomes a foreign borrower, right, in a particular economy because the bonds were not floated in the local market here. Now, when we talk of the supply of funds, as an individuals like me and you, we supply funds on the market, right? So domestic savings, this holding of money balances. Now, when the government came out to say that they are going to pump more dollars into the economy, now people have started hoarding their dollars. Those who are hoarding dollars in their homes and in their accounts, now they are now coming out to sell the dollars and exchange it for cedis. Now, if this goes on for a very long time, you will see that the cedi will start appreciating on the market because now the demand for the cedi will now increase, and the supply of the dollar will also now increase on the market. So when you talk of supply of loanable funds, domestic savings like me and you, there's holding of money balances, money creation by the banking system also influences supply of money. And how does the bank create money? Now, when I put 1,000 cedis at the bank takes the reserve requirement out of it, give the rest out in the form of loan. Now, assuming that the money doesn't come into the public domain, but it still stays in the financial sector, wherever that the loan money went to, maybe assuming that it went to Bank B, now Bank B will also take the required reserve and give the rest out in the form of loan and goes to Bank C. So the more that the balances travel from one bank to another bank, then we are creating more money in the banking system. Then the foreign market also, as well as foreign lending. The foreigners or the foreign market also lend money to the domestic market, like the way the government of Ghana issued bonds on the market, and foreigners bought the bond, even though it was not highly patronized. At least one or two people bought it, and money came into our economy. So for the loanable funds theory, they believe that determination of interest rate is by two forces, and the two forces is demand for credit and supply of loanable funds. Now, the demand for credit are domestic businesses, consumers, government, and foreigners. Now, when you go to the opposite side, too, it's the same thing. Those who supply savings are the domestic people, me and you, the holding of money balances, money creation by the banks, and also the foreign lending. So this is what we were talking about. So consumers, me and you, then domestic businesses, demand increases as interest rates falls. So as a business firm, your demand for loan will increase when interest rate falls. Then consumers' demand is relative inelastic with respect to interest rate. Government does not depend significantly upon the level of interest rate. This we've talked about it. And foreign demand is also sensitive to spread between domestic and foreign interest rate. Now, the last portion, what it means is that then also another thing too that let me chip in, will also be the exchange rate. It will also be a factor here. So for foreign demand, it's sensitive to the spread between domestic and foreign interest rate. Now, if a foreigner decides to demand for a loanable funds, why would a foreigner come to Ghana to demand for the loanable funds? Maybe Ghana's interest rate is lower than that of his country's interest rate. So if like a Nigerian needs a loan and he decides that I don't want to take the loan in Nigeria, I want to take the loan in Ghana, what will motivate a Nigerian to take a loan in Ghana rather than taking the loan in Nigeria will be the spread between the Nigerian interest rate and the Ghanaian interest rate. Assuming that the Nigerian interest rate is 30% and the Ghanaian interest rate is 15%, then it will be rational for the foreigner to demand for the loan in Ghana rather than demanding for the loan in Nigeria. Please, do you understand?
Yes, please.
Yes.
So this class, it is only Vicky that responds.
Yes, please, madam.
Some of the phone out to baby na more baby I found so there. Yo, Mate. So this is the total demand, right, for the loanable funds. So consumer is here, business is here, government is here.
Hello, madam.
Yes.
Madam, please, you are going too fast.
I'm going too fast. Hey, and I'm on candidate. Come again.
Yes, please, you are going too fast.
Okay, I'll slow down. Okay, so this is the total demand for loanable funds on the market. Here is where me and you we are. This is businesses, this is government, and these are the foreigners, right? So when we put everything together, we get total demand for loanable funds. And you see how the graph is, right? It slopes downward. That is how a demand curve is. Now, the supply of loanable funds, me and you, we supply some out of our net worth income, whereby we substitute our future consumption for current consumption. So we put money down so that in the future we can get more money if the interest rate is attractive. Then there's holding of money balances. When individuals and businesses dispose of their excess cash holdings, the supply of loanable funds available to others also increase. How do we dispose of our excess cash? You know, in the olden days, I don't know if some people are still doing. They belong to me the sika. Sometimes armed robbers attack people in their homes. Then the amount of money that they say that the armed robbers have stolen in their homes, you ask yourself, hey, that is what it means. So if you are able to take all this money from your home, that means that you are disholding them, and you take those excess cash into the financial system, you are increasing supply of loanable funds. Please, do you understand? It is what that don't open safe in your home. and put the money in your home. When you open safe in your home and put the money there, it's called disholding of money balances. But when you dispose of those excess cash and put it in the financial market or open an account and put it there, the bank that you open the account with will repackage it and give it out in the form of loan. And in essence, we are supplying what? Loanable funds on the market, or we are creating loanable funds on the market. Then you have creation of credit by domestic banking system. That is the point that I just said. If we don't put money at the bank, there is no way the banks will get money to create in the form of what? Loans. So once we dishold and put more money in the banking system, then the creation of credit by the domestic banks will be enhancing. Then foreign lending, which is sensitive to the spread between domestic and foreign interest rates. We've also talked about it. So as like we use the Nigerian example, that if the Nigerian wants to borrow and in his hometown, the interest rate is 30%, and in Ghana here, the interest rate is 15%, then it will be rational for the Nigerian to borrow in Ghana than to borrow in Nigeria. However, on the other way around, if the Nigerian wants to save and Ghana's interest rate is 20% and Nigeria's interest rate is 15%, then rationally, it is better for the Nigerian to come to Ghana to come and invest, because the interest rate on Ghana's investment is higher than that of the Nigerian economy. So this is the total supply of loanable funds on the market, right? When supply and demand meet, you get equilibrium. That one is so simple. So at equilibrium, everything must balance. We shouldn't have excesses. No, we don't have that. So at equilibrium, as planned savings is equal to planned investment, the money supply must be equal to money demand. Supply of loanable funds is equal to supply for loanable supply of loanable funds must be equal to demand for loanable funds. The net foreign demand must also equate to net export. So at equilibrium, everything must be in the balance. And interest rates will be stable only when the economy, money market, loanable funds market, and foreign currency market are simultaneously in equilibrium. If these are not simultaneously in equilibrium, there is no way that interest rate will be stable. So for interest rate to be stable, money market, loanable funds market, and the foreign currency market must simultaneously be in equilibrium, as we have illustrated here. So if all these forces are in equilibrium, then by all means, interest rate will be what? Will be stable on the market. Please, are you with me? Now look at this graph. Let's look at it carefully and let's discuss it. Effect of increased supply of loanable funds with demand unchanged. Please look at the graph very well and let's discuss it. Effect of increased supply of loanable funds with demand unchanged. Now look at the demand curve. This is the demand curve. Initially, right, the curve, see here, loanable funds. So you see C1 as against the interest rate here. Now at a particular point in time, people have started disholding their money by taking their monies to the bank. People have, somebody is giving me feedback. Businesses are getting a lot of income, so they've also started saving. Therefore, as they are saving, they are not saving in their safe in the house or in their offices, but they are taking the money to the financial market. Therefore, you see that the supply of loanable funds has increased from here to here. Now, if the demand on the market remains unchanged, what happens to the price of credit on the market? Naturally, the price of credit on the market will do what? Will fall, because supply has increased, but demand never increased. Please, do you understand?
Yes, madam.
Yes, please.
Thank you. And when the price of credit falls, people will rush in for what? More credit for investment purposes. Now, this is the effect of increased demand for loanable funds with supply unchanged. So this will give us the opposite of it. So here the C1 was here, then interest rate is here. Now there is an increase in demand, right? More like the way people are rushing for the dollar. The dollar price is increasing on the market, but still people are rushing for the dollar and the supply of the dollar is constant. So you see that the prices of dollars is increasing until September, sorry. The finance minister came out last week, Thursday or Wednesday, to say that they are going to pump more dollars into the economy. We need to see the effect of that information on the market. But the prices of dollars will go down a little. After some time, it will appreciate on the market. But before his announcement, the prices of dollars were appreciating on the market, and people were still buying the dollars. They were hoarding the dollars. So that is what it means. So if supply is constant and interest rates are rises, volume of loanable funds, right, will increase on the market. People would like to put more money down. The last theory, normally here we do calculations. The liquidity preference, we do calculations. The rational expectations too, we do calculations. But with our slides here, we will not. If we do calculation, we would have used a different slide because there are calculations involved that will ask you to calculate the interest rate based on the liquidity preference and also the expectations theory. But I know this time it will not be asked. So the rational expectations theory, for that one, look at the name of the theory, rational expectation. So it is all based on what are you expecting in the future? What are you expecting in the future? So the rational expectations theory is built on a growing body of research evidence that the money and capital market are highly efficient and they digest new information. I've been saying it that the announcement that the finance minister came to do, that they are going to pump more dollars into the economy and the economy will start to rebound very soon. Under normal circumstances, it must translate into security prices on the market. And analysts have started saying that the prices of the cedi has started to show some appreciation against the value of the dollar. And that is what the expectations theory is all about. So as the finance minister has come out to say that we are pumping more foreign currencies into the economy. So you as an individual, if you are holding a foreign currency, why would you hold a foreign currency? Because the currency that has become so scarce in the economy, somebody says that I am bringing more into the economy. So if you hold your own, it will get to a point in time that it will have no value on the market again. But the value that it is having today, in the next 2 weeks' time, it will not have that value again. So as an individual, as a financial manager, that you are managing your firm's resources, what do? You must respond to what the market is saying. So what people will do is that the dollars that they are holding, they will start selling the dollars on the open market. And as more people are selling the dollars, they are now supplying more of the dollars on the market. Now we look at the effect. If the supply of a particular asset increases and the demand remains the same, what happens to the price of the product? Naturally, it will come down. So that tells you the efficiency of the market. Is the market really efficient to respond to information in such a case that interest rates and prices will incorporate the new information that is on the market? So the expectations theory is about what we expect the market to be. And our expectations will inform how the interest rate or the security prices will be shaped as time goes on. Are you with me?
Yes, please.
As for Vicky there, my IA, You get the highest, okay?
Yes, please, madam. Yes,
Hey,
please.
Yes, please.
Please, we are with
Yo,
you.
yo, I get.
In body and in
Which of them?
spirit. Yo.
Yo, so Sisi Adi, when you know about out. Thank God. Okay, so that changes in demand for and supply of loanable funds. This one have you not done it? Okay, so this is the graph. You know, the rational expectations is one of the easiest explanation to the theory of interest rate that you can ever say. So when you get this in exam, I don't know whether this time it will be face to face or online. Now that the president says that we can go out without wearing the marks is no more mandatory. I don't know how this exams is going to be. But for the expectations, it's about what we expect. That is how the market will respond to it. And it is assumed that it is unbiased because it is our expectation that is shaping the prices of the products on the market. If we demand more of the product on the market, with the supply being constant, naturally, prices of interest rate and price of security prices will appreciate on the market. In the other way around too, if we supply more and we don't demand more, the prices of the product will depreciate. Now, for equilibrium to establish, supply and demand must interact, right? So the rational expectations theory, if money and capital market are highly efficient, then interest rates will always be near their equilibrium levels because our expectation is being incorporated in the prices of the interest rate and also in the prices of what security instruments on the market. So if the market is very efficient, then our expectations that we have on the market will translate into the actuals, whereby it will near the equilibrium or it will be nearing perfection. Now, let me use your result as an example. If you believe that, I'm going to get an A in money and capital market, of which a lot of people get an A in money and capital market. Now, if you learn consistently, there is no iota of doubt that you'll be nearing close to your expectation, which is the A. Or even if you should deviate from your A, at least for your B plus, you will get. Why? Because all the information that you needed to get the price of or the interest rate, which is what the A, you have incorporated it by sitting down to learn. So for the rational expectation, it is what we believe in that will shape the prices of the security. So interest rate will change only if entirely new and unexpected information appears on the market. So until a new information is given on the market, there is no way the direction on the market will change. As I said, until the government came out to say that they are pumping more dollars into the economy, you saw the way the prices of the dollar was just skyrocketing in this country. I tell people that if the cedi was to be a man, because it will not be attractive to any girl to associate itself. But now, because of the announcement, things are picking up on the market. So interest rates will change or asset prices will change only if new and unexpected information appears, and the direction of change depends on the public's current set of expectations. So the government says they are going to pump more dollars into the market. What is this likely to happen on the market? If government is pumping more dollars into the market, then it is the supply of dollar is going to increase on the market. So if supply is increasing and demand remains constant, obviously the prices of dollars must fall on the market. So that is the rational expectations theory. Look at this.
Hello, madam.
This is yes.
Hello. You are saying the government Okay, you said the finance minister said the government to pump more dollars into the economy.
Yeah.
I'm asking how he's going to do that because
They make it available to the banks.
okay,
Yeah, there is no way the government will make it available to the forex dealers. They don't do that. Or the the black market. No. But when they make it available to the bank, it will be easy for you to go to the bank to go and buy dollar or to change a dollar. Even as for the banks, when you are going to change dollars, they'll change for you. But when you are going to buy dollars, they won't sell for you, especially if you don't even have a dollar account with them. That is why the black market always appears to be controlling the foreign currencies on the market, because people go to the black market to buy. Now, if the government is pumping more dollars into the financial system by giving it to the banks, then me and you, when we need dollars, we won't go to the black market to buy. We would rather go to the banks to buy. So at the end of the day, the black market people will also reduce what? Their rate, because people are not patronizing their rate. They are not patronizing it from the banks. And the bank rate is always lower than the black market rate, if you like check. So anytime that they give out financial news, they give the interbank rate, then they'll tell you that when you go out there, the rate will be higher than what they have given you. The Forex Bureau's rate is always higher than that of the bank's rate. So if an individual or a corporate organization can get the foreign currencies at the bank to pay for their importations, then there is no way they'll go to the Forex Bureaus or they'll go to the black market to go and demand, whereby any so baby at 8.5. That is what they do. Meanwhile, you can get it from the bank at maybe 7.9. Please, you understand? So when the government makes the foreign currencies available to the banks, corporate organizations and individuals who need the dollar will go to the financial institutions to demand for the dollar rather than going to the black market, which drives the prices of the dollar upward. Are we okay?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Okay, so this is the supply of loanable funds, and these are the demand. And this thing, it is very normal. Supply is constant, demand is high. My son tells me that in his class, there are 11 people in the class. Say, mommy, in our class we are 11. 8 boys and 3 girls. I say, hey, is that so? You alone, you've taken one. Every day you mention the girl's name. When I ask him, you tell me that, oh, mommy, she's the first friend I found in the school. So now, assuming that this boy, my son he just turned 6 years this month, and you go to a school and you didn't get a male as your friend, you had a female as your friend, thank God. But in the class, the males are dominant and the ladies are few. Now, if the class becomes the same and they go to maybe SS or JSS, you can imagine the value of the ladies in the class. It will be very, very high because the guys are many, the supply is high, but the demand is what? Sorry, the supply is constant. The supply doesn't change, right? But the demand is very, very high. Please, you understand? It's like the ladies on this platform. At this stage, it is your time. So much but at 32, 35, 30, going to 40, then the demand for you reduces. So now you want to, anything that goes becomes an issue, right? So the ladies, don't do that. Pray and decide on one now. It is God and Yamina, the money paye or the four. It doesn't mean that go and take anybody just like that or who doesn't have money come and blow from him. The ladies, are you there?
Yes, madam.
Yes, please, we are listening to you.
Oh, the guys, I hope you are also there.
Yes, madam.
yes,
Natasha,
man.
Where can get more money? So the expected demand and the supply, right? So the supply is constant, but the demand keeps increasing. And naturally, as the demand
Hello,
is
madam.
increasing, yes. Who said hello, madam?
Anthony.
Hello, hello.
Okay. Yes, talk. I'm listening.
Yes, madam, please, you were saying that when we get money, like when we are well to do, let's say in the future, we shouldn't keep our monies in safes and all those
Yeah.
things.
Why would you
We
want to
should.
put your money in the safe? Now,
Oh, debut, the safe. No, I don't think it should be at a place where Obi be home. Please, do you understand? But what I'm trying to say is that why should I think about the banks?
No, we want
Because
to.
it's
You
my
see,
money.
wait. Let me see the person talking. Who is the one talking?
I'm Anthony.
Who? Alfred.
Anthony. Tony Poku.
Anthony.
Yes, please.
If you put the money in the safe, you get value on it. You rather lose its value.
Okay.
You get it. You rather lose its value. Especially, let me clarify it. Especially if it is in a domestic currency. And we are assuming that it is in a domestic currency. However, if it is in dollars, it is an investment. Do you understand?
Yes, please.
Yes. So if it is in dollars, then you can convert all your CDs into dollars, and that's an investment. Then put it in a safe in your house. It is not the same as putting CDs in your safe, because on the domestic market, the value of our currency depreciates because of what? Inflation expectations. Do you understand? So if I have to put my money at the bank and earn at least a little on it, and you have decided to hold the money in your house, of which you are not getting value on it, but you are rather losing value on it, then you are becoming irrational saver. Are we okay?
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Madam,
Please talk.
Okay, please, the expectation, is it for individuals or businesses?
It will be for, it is for individuals like me and you, businesses, governments, foreigners. Everybody has expectation about the economy. Do you understand? So it is all put together. That forms the expectations theory. How are businesses seeing the market? How are individuals seeing the market? Are you there?
Yes, please. But Madam, please, what if the expectations are different?
In terms of, wait,
market
you
is
see,
different from. Please, can you hear me?
Yeah, say it again.
Okay, so what if how businesses see the market is different from how foreigners or individuals see the market?
So if how businesses, right, maybe the domestic, let me say this thing. At some point in time, the economy wasn't good. During Mohammed's time, right after Mohammed's election, you see that for about a year or so, and it really affected the economy because the presidency issue was in court. Did Muhammad get or Muhammad did not get? Now, if you are an investor who believes that Africa stands an expansionary way, you can come to Africa because Africa, there is more demand for your product in Africa. So you want to come and establish yourself in Africa. And moreover, you want to come to Ghana. Now, we have a court case in terms of who won the presidency. If you are an investor, will you come to Ghana to come and invest? Rationally, you will not come. But our president at that time, even after the election, go out of the country, then tries to market the country to foreigners out there that, oh, Ghana is safe. Please come and invest here. Ghana is safe. Come and invest here. The economy is good. Come and invest here. But we are in this economy knows that the economy is not too good. So it is up to you, the individual, to also do your investigations. And as I said, we are not looking when you are going to do investment. Normally, individuals, we don't do that. But as a corporate organization, that is why you have the financial manager. When you are going to do investment, you need to do a lot of feasibility studies before you put your money in a particular environment. So this is what maybe the domestic people are saying. But as a foreigner, this is also how you see it. No, you don't remember that not too long ago, Ghana floated bonds on the market that people didn't buy. The foreigners didn't buy. I don't know, because I've even said it in our class today. But our president was saying that the country is okay. The country is okay. But they didn't buy the security, or they didn't patronize it as it used to be. Why? Because the way they saw our country is different. The last note, is it this year or last year? That they have also downgraded Ghana from B to B minus. Have you also heard that? But the domestic market, the government in power says that the downgrade, it is not true, because our economy is on track. Have you heard of that? So with this one, it is about people's conviction. And the dominancy will take its position, will determine how the security prices or interest rate should move on the market. And also, past historical events will also help in determining how the future should be. So a lot of people will do what we call trend analysis, that at this time, this is what is likely to happen. I always say that normally from November, December, the prices of dollars naturally appreciate on the market. Why? Because at that particular point in time, a lot of people are buying things from outside, so they pay in foreign currency. So we know that at that time, prices of the foreign currencies will appreciate on the market. So if you are somebody who deals in imports, what will you do? Then let me try to buy more dollars before December or before November. And as more people are buying the dollar, what will happen to the price of the dollar? It will naturally appreciate. The same applies to election period. Election period too, there is overspending. So the cedi depreciates on the market, then the dollar appreciates on the market. However, another school of thought will also see it from a different view. So it is up to those two schools of thought to argue on the market. When they argue on the market, then you see that the market will shape by itself. Now, with this dollar that they said they are pumping into the system, I always tell people that, yes, it will work. Obi Obeka said it will not work, the person is lying. But it will work for a very short period. It will be less than a month, it will work. But you let the politicians or let somebody who matters in this country, an economist or a finance person, come out and say that, oh, this measure, it will work about for 6 months or so. And you see a lot of people towing that line. Once that important person who matters in the country, and the country believes that, oh, whatever he says is have some kind of sense in it. Once he says that, no, the government is going to pump more dollars into the system, and the government has a lot of reserves, and they are pumping it into the system. My sister, the 2 weeks plus the 1 month that you've given ourselves, it will not work. The dollar will depreciate beyond 2 weeks to what? To 1 month. Why? Because somebody that matters, an economist that matters, have said that the dollars that the government have and they are pumping into the system is more than any dollar that has been pumped into the system. And the market will told that. Are we okay?
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
That is what happens on the market. And don't forget that it is a collective thing. So once it is a collective thing, when we put all together, their own will be established on the market. I hope you are okay now.
Yes, madam.
Thank you. Now, the last thing that we will discuss is the limitations to the rational expectations theory. As my lady was asking, Sometimes you can have different expectations. Yes, it is true. So we do not know we do not know very much about how the public forms its expectation, like what my sister is saying, and it is also a limitation. So the public expectation will be different from the maybe government expectation or household expectation. It's no dear na yedi actually. Ni anano be yede no, ni dear ni yedi, but it is not scientific. So that is a limitation to the rational expectations. And also the cost of gathering, where is it? The cost of gathering and analyzing information relevant to pricing of assets is not always negligible as assumed. As I said, as a financial manager, before you decide to invest on behalf of your organization, you need to do a lot of what are feasibility studies. And that is about getting information, relevant information that will help you to what, put the money into where you think that the value of the firm will what appreciate. And not all interest rate and security prices appear to display the kind of behavior implied by the rational expectations theory. So I don't know whether it is Victoria who asked the question. So you see that your question has come out with the limitations against the expectations theory. Have you seen that? And then Victoria and Ebisa question.
No, please,
It was Anthony.
No, please, Ophelia.
Ophelia. Any this Max Nama Victoria.
Thank you, madam.
Okay, so the question that Ophelia asked makes the scientific expectation flawed because the expectations might be different. My expectation will be different from Ophelia's expectation. The same applies to Ophelia's expectation will be different from maybe a business expectation. So how is the market going to conform to that? Now, as I said, it will have effect on the market. So this brings us to the end of our class. Today's topic was very interesting. And please never forget the theories, because in most of the exams, especially if it is face-to-face, you are likely to get a question on this topic, the theories that informs interest rates. We've talked about what credit is, functions of credit in the economy, then also the theories that informs interest rates, the classical theory, liquidity preference, loanable theory, the rational expectations theory with their limitations. So there are some questions beneath it. Next week, I want to skip this. But you see, because this topic involves a lot, with this involves calculation. I don't know how you are going to do calculation on Zoom. Yeah. So you will see, if we have to skip, you will skip, so that when we come to face, we will treat that topic, okay?
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, because
Okay,
there are calculations there, so I don't know how we are going to treat those calculations.
Right.
So next week, God willing, we look at this topic: inflation and deflation, yield curves, and duration. I have some calculations of it. As the motivation is very huge.